Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
You're talking about the CAD yen, Al?
Yeah.
Pepper's
well, Matt said he wanted to talk about the CAD yen first thing this morning, so I thought, well, okay, where are you at, Matt?
Where's the party at, Matt?
Where's the party, Matt?
Pepper says yesterday's CAD yen trade lasted for about 5 hours.
It took a while for it took a while for it to develop, but it eventually it did its thing. And are you sure?
His question, no, is that longer than you'd stay in?
No. You stay in until it tells you not to either hit your target, or you stay in until it tells you that it's time to bail because it's not working out the way you thought. So yeah, I stayed in. It didn't come close to my target or to my stop. We did take some heat right off the bat with it. It pulled back. We are looking at my CAD yen chart, correct? No? Tell me. Yes? Am I sharing my right screen? Did I lose everybody?
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, I just want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen here. And so we did this. This is the blue line. This is about where we took the trade. It was I think this was an up arrow, I believe, on this one. And so we took the trade. We did have our zone down here. We had our 40 pip stop was way below this green zone, and our target was right up here around 20 pips away. And I don't have it. I don't have my lines up here, but you can see where there's a zone right up here, right around this area, right in here, I believe. If we got in on this candle here, our 20 pip target was somewhere right around in this area, and you can see where it made it pretty much made it after the session break yesterday, but then just kept right on going. This was a nice little, ended up all the way up to 75 pips, which was it was a good little trade there.
Hey, Al.
Yes.
I'm just getting my charts up. There is a current pretty valid looking bag entry on Euro odd. Might want to take a peek at.
Euro odd. What's a Euro odd? Euro
Australian.
I think. Oh, thank you.
You're on the 1 hour on your you weren't getting because you're on the 1 hour there.
Right. We're gonna go I got to make another trip through my charts to make sure I'm on the right time frames here. All right, now we're in a downtrend, bounce, arrow, go. Now the question is, do we have enough room to the downside to take this trade?
We do.
We got 20 pips there?
More than that.
Boy, it looks a lot tighter than that.
37.
Really?
Mm-hmm. You gotta
on a 15-minute chart.
Pull that in a little bit. There you go.
Oh, there we go. That looks better.
There you go.
My goodness, looks like awfully tight. So right here says it is on a little bit of a pullback right now, but that's okay.
Yep.
Just give you a little bit better entry. We got 34 pips to downside. We had a bounce, we had arrow, go. We're in the right direction for the trend. Yes, I do think we can take this trade. We're below all the moving averages, which is even better. Having a little bit of a pullback. And all this is going to do is allow us to maybe get a little bit better entry. We did have a nice, this is a pretty good little wick right here. But I say this is pretty much a basic bag entry. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to sell this thing. And I'm okay taking it up here, taking it up on this pullback. I'm going to sell. And let's see, that'd be my other chart here. CAD Aussie. Euro Aussie is what we're looking at. Here Euro Aussie pull back, and we are going to sell that one too. Okay. And we're going to make sure we get modified our stop and targets. And so we got into the trade. We're going to do 40 pips for a stop, 20 pips for a target. And we're going to, now if you wanted to, you can just, if you want to go for a little bit more, you can just, take your target down here. You got all this room, extra room to go down to.
Yep.
I think I usually go for my 20 pips. If it comes back, it might get a bounce or something like that. Or if it looks really strong, then I will go and I'll just move my target down a little bit. I'll keep my stop right where it is. It's going to have to get through this zone before I'm going to get stopped out. If it comes back and breaks this red zone, then I may go ahead and look at maybe bailing on it, but that's still a pretty good little distance away. So we're good there, good to the downside, and we're in our first trade for the day. Let me make sure I get my other stop target in here.
Awesome.
Let's see, Euro Aussie. Modify my other template. Okay, there you are. Thank you, Charles, for pointing that one out. I'm going to go back to my charts and make sure I'm on the 15-minute charts on all the time frames. This one's on an hour. Well, I changed all this yesterday.
Cool. Can I do something with the CAD yen from yesterday?
Well, we were waiting for you, but you weren't here when I asked you.
Well, I went to go make my coffee.
All right. Do you want to share your charts?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'll stop sharing and you can take over.
Right on. Share screen. Cool. So I'll make it really simple. I don't want to overcomplicate this. Yesterday, all we had was the white, right? The white was our setup. This was my original target. And this was another target from this length here. What happened is I didn't find this trend line until earlier when I went by, but you see how it respected this trend line? But my stop loss was still down here. I still had like 13 pips before I even got close to my stop loss. And for the record, I only took it to about here, so 83.70. And ended up being like, I just took it to the stick, 83.65. I'm coming to find out, Al, that we kind of want to keep our stops significantly going back a little bit deeper, because sometimes it can come back like it did yesterday and retest that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. Now, this stick here, this was really cool. We have a stick from here, right? This is our wedge. Let's get rid of that line. Hold on a second. Let's do that. All right. So I drew from that point here, the high to the low or to the stick, and I put the stick at the break. Now you're going to notice something really cool about this one. You see how it broke out of the wedge, it went up, and it tagged this trend line about a couple pips away, 2-3 pips away from the trend line, and then it boosted out of there, tags here, forms kind of like a flag pattern, right? There's a little flag pattern here, and then boom, it shoots out again. So it's a really interesting pattern that shows up. But all this from an arrow alert, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Nice little trade.
It is a great little trade, my friend. A great little trade. High probability, awesome setup. So, hey, wait, I need to go get into that other trade here. Hold on. That Euro AUD, right? You can share your screen now, Al.
Okay.
I'm done showing what I wanted to show. I just wanted to show how powerful the wedges are with something when you go back and see the realities of what happened. And observation is such a understated ability and skill.
It does really help when you plan a trade, and if it doesn't work out, you go back and see, okay, why did this one work out? And then if you go and have one that does work out, you say, okay, how did my plan come together that it worked? And again, they're not always going to work. The market still has a mind of its own, but it also has a very rhythmic feature to it that oftentimes things are predictable to a sense. You don't know, the time sometimes is often off, but when you start seeing big moves, especially when it's moving or when it breaks out of a range where you start looking for the target zones, you can usually come pretty close to within a pretty good profit area to take your trade and to close it out.
Oh, holy smokes. Euro AUD, I had some analysis done from last week. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on a higher time frame. I want to show this to you guys.
I hope it's good news for us.
Oh, you'll see. You'll see. Here.
Start sharing again.
Yeah, I got it. Cool. So check this out. We did this setup. I believe, I forget when it was. Anyway, sometime last week. Anyway, and it was interesting. This is on an hourly chart. So I found the trend line. I drew it. I like this trend line. I didn't draw my trend line here. I drew my trend line. I think I was using this hit somewhere. Anyway, point is this: it broke out of the wedge, pretend the fake, went back in, and then busted out. This stick right here, I believe it was from the middle, somewhere here. So the second hit of the second high here of the trend line I used to the bottom. And the reason I went back here is because we had these really strong bottoms, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like this is a very, very strong one. And so when it broke out of here, there's no surprise. No surprise at all that it did what it did. And I told someone that I had a target on this box. None of this was here before, but this is where I had it coming. The reason I had it coming into this box was it came from a pitchfork up here. And I don't want to get into pitchforks too much, but just understand that this is like a trend line on steroids. So I lined up the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I had 7 hits on the top. I had a really good run of hits on the median line. And then I knew I could trust this line because there was a lot of compliance. So very interesting setup, and that made a little bit of money, let's put it that way. So Euro AUD, I am of the opinion that we should go that, like you guys, that short is a good direction.
Good news.
Yeah. Anyway, let's have some fun. Hold on. I want to see something. All right. So if I wanted to blow this up, this is on an hourly chart. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for all of our friends online. If we wanted to see where this thing could potentially go, since this already happened and I didn't mess around with it, now you got another thing here showing up. So going from here, I don't like this upward line because it's gonna fail. I can already tell you that, but there's actually a price channel too, which I like better. If we go up a little bit, maybe we can make a little bit of a wedge. How about that? All right. So want to bet that it's going to hit the bottom of this pitchfork once it finally ends up breaking out. That would be a pretty powerful move. So I like this as a setup, at least here. There is potential that it comes down and hits this level down here.
So your AUD we're talking about here?
Yeah, there's like this area. There's potential that it comes down and hits here. So that could be a pretty monstrous trade.
Hey guys, I got a question on this pair from the Q&A from
Yeah.
Pepper. Al, doesn't it bother you that on the RCS, the two currencies are so close together?
On the RCS, let me take a look and see what the RCS is doing on this. This is the Euro,
Here, I'll let you share your screen now.
Euro
I'm
Aussie.
Euro
gonna.
Aussie. Okay, let me take a look at that.
And Christine is in the room. If someone could please bring her over.
Okay, let me go and grab
Thank
it real quick.
Yeah.
Let me get Christine here. There we go. There she is. Okay, we got Christine, and let's go take a look at the RCS tool. We probably should take a look at that. Today's Wednesday. Also, there was some news today too. We need to pay attention to. Okay, this was the Euro New Zealand. New Zealand's still strong, so we did take this thing.
Euro Aussie.
Euro
And
Aussie,
you're not
rather.
sharing your screen.
Oh yeah, I got it. I'm not. Oh, that's right. Matt was sharing it. I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I got everything all mixed up this morning, did I?
And you did. Screen sharing. Here we go. Screen one. All right. Here's our screenshot here. So here's our Euro Aussie. That, yeah, and you're right. It's very close together on that. Very close together there. You're very close there. And relatively close. The Aussie is a little bit stronger on the 5 minute. Does it bother me? Not really. Would I like to see a better spread on it? Yes, I would. But we'll keep an eye on that, Pepper, just to see if the direction, if we start seeing that these things start reversing, where we're taking it short, so we're looking at the strength of the Aussie. So if we start seeing that the euro starts gaining strength, we may want to reevaluate our position as far as potential drawdowns with that. One thing I was looking at with this pair is that this thing is this is a weekly. I'm on a weekly. Well, I had to find this zone all the way over here. It was on. I had to go to a weekly chart. This thing is hitting the levels almost just like that other pair that we were looking at. It's hitting back in December of 2018. So this is almost 2 years old from where it was back at this level again. And this is a weekly level. And so as I'm looking through, these are I went on a weekly chart to find this. But on a daily chart, you can see where these are a lot of days in between. But this is the zone that it's in right now. Now I can put another zone right here off of this little wick. And we're coming right into those areas where if this thing decides, as Matt was saying, this thing could go down for a long time, but it's going to have to get through this zone. This zone has a lot of history. It's a 2-year-old zone, but it's still there. And you can see where it's hitting right in this off of a daily. If I go to a 1-hour chart, let's take a look and see what the price action of this looks like. And you can see we have nice little, actually it's forming, this was a nice strong extended range candle going all the way down deep into the zone in this first level. Remember, there's another level right. I got 3. This is where it was valued. I would expect that they found the buyers started coming in right around in this area. We have a little wedge right here off of our 1-hour chart. And we draw this wedge. I'm going to start up here with here's a high, here's a low, here's a lower high. And we're looking to see I'm just going to flat bottom this one right now for right now. So right now it's kind of in this area right here. And it's still pointing down. So basically I would expect it to come back and at least retest this little zone right in this area. And by that time, we're probably going to be out of this trade. If we see where this level is, let me mark that. Here's a 1-hour wick. This is from the overnight. This is an overnight low. Push it back up. See if it comes back and retest this. I'm going to give this one a little different color here.
Are you in this trade, Al?
We took it short right at the very get-go.
Okay.
This morning. And it's just do a style here. Change my color on this one. I'm going to make this one a green here.
Yeah,
So
this
that's
is
kinda
more
like,
of a swing, wouldn't it be, Al?
well, it could be, it could very well be where this is the end of the strong move. You know, when you get these really strong moves, like this is a very strong move. At the end of the move, you're also going to oftentimes see a little. That's where you're going to find your M's and your W's.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the first leg of the W. Here's the middle of a W. Come back down. I would expect it to probably to come back and retest this area somewhere around in here. You got this. I mean, this is the little slope that Nathan talks about with the end of the W. You could do one of two things. You could get a divergence trade where it goes lower, the price goes lower, but the strength is higher. This case, I'm looking at pretty much a little bit of a divergence. I would expect it's going to come down, retest this wick right here, and that target would be right at the 53.14, and our target for that trade for the euro right now, my target is 53.29. So it's well below where my target is still up here at 53.29 area. So it's not gonna have to go back. It's got a little bit of ways to go before. So this does have a lot of the down pressure. We see a little pressure here. We're looking at the Aussie still stronger. So if we bring it down to a 15-minute chart, it tells us the same story, where we had, remember, we were looking at this being the bottom of the W. Well, also up here, we also have a bit of an M that formed. Here's the leg up, here's the pullback, here's the leg up. So now we're looking at maybe 3 moves coming down till we get to this area. So I'm going to be looking at possibly a little, let's see, let's just call it a little wedge here. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I never really tried drawing it this way. Let's try a different thing, different tool. We'll just draw some triangles here. Here's he talks about the A's, like when you go a W, then you have a V, V, M, and an M with an A back down. So here's possibly where this first A is going to be. Let me fix this to a stick. Clone. So here would be the A. We may get another A coming down further. This is just projections. This isn't what's happening. We're just trying to kind of plan this trade out here a little bit. Here could be another A maybe down in here somewhere. And then we're going to come down to the last leg of our W, which is, and then we have our W. In this case, we're looking at a, from here, here's our W. Here's the first leg of the W. And actually what this really ends up being, it ends up being a harmonic is what it does. You see the W pattern, and then we come up. So we're looking at, here is our M up here, looking for, here's an A, comes back down, hits the bottom up here, gives an A, and it'll be the last part of the W. But I would be looking at this thing to be reversing somewhere down in this area. So right now we're short with this, and we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. Any questions about that? That's sort of like the micro-analysis of what we're looking at here. And we'll go back to the Euro Aussie chart. If I can find it again. Euro Aussie should be over here behind my. There we go. And it was in there someplace. But here we had a nice little. Here's where we're looking at with our W. Came back up, tested the moving average. This is a 200 moving average test. It couldn't break through. The arrow moving average still is hanging down below it, so it's still looking at it to be a short. And so our target was here at 53.29-ish, I guess. And we can go all the way down to the draw our objects here. It's at 53.48-ish. A dog with a squeaky toy. Sorry about that.
I thought it was a baby.
It
thought
was
you,
Charlie.
Al.
It was Charlie. Let's see. And then target 153, 32-ish, I guess. And then the stop is going to be all the way up here at 153.92. This is pretty much what we're looking at. Here's where we got into the trade. And that was off of this. And actually, here, this was actually where the alert came through. So we actually got in at a little bit better trade. Right now, we're profitable with it right now. And so we're just right now. I'm just going. I was looking. We were looking before 53.14-ish was right around this area where we are concerned about where we look and see where that divergence was coming in with our trend line. This is our projected trend line on this. And it's going to be somewhere right around. And this, we're looking at somewhere right around. Again, what I'm looking at is where these wicks of this last move is. And this is where the bodies of the wick started. So I'm looking at pretty much going right across. And that's right about where this target is right at the bottom of where these wicks are.
I like that, Al. I've never done that before.
And then you just pull this over.
Projecting.
And we just pull this over to where these lines cross. And that's the projection right there. Now, if I can get it out, if I can get my 20 pips on this, I'm going to be happy, and I'm just going to go with it. So
Projecting a trend line.
But you figure this is where you're looking at price action. Again, we like where the wicks, where the strong moves originate, where the wicks, the wicks are where the buyers are coming in, and then eventually the buyers take over with the bodies of the candles. Just like the same token is at the top of a move, when you have a wick, the sellers are taking control, and that's where they drive it down. So you look at the strong move up, and like this is a strong move down. This is if you look at a 45-degree angle, it's going up about like this direction. This is a little bit stronger than 45. So, and you can see where it came up, and look where these wicks are. So if you look and see where the price stopped from in history, it also gives you some idea where it might respect on the next move, in this case, of the downside. So you have the wicks up here. Let's see if I get my shape up here. Insert.
Oh, Al, another confirmation for this trade. I just got a 30-minute Euro AUD arrow to the downside.
Oh, that's good news.
And yeah, the green zone is where you said it was. It's at the same, a little bit lower on the 30-minute, but taking that trade to that point is a pretty good trade at this point.
But you can see where this thanks for bringing that up. So that just helps confirm what our targets are then. So you can see where these are the wicks, came right up, respected the wicks, rejected it. Came up, respected the wicks, passed through it, respected the 200 moving average, rejected it. Not only did it reject the 200 moving average, it rejected this zone again, came back up and retested it. So, and if you look and see so this one, it rejected the moving average, but you also have some wicks way over here to the left-hand side that it would be respecting that as well the next time it came back up to retest that area. So right now you have the rejection coming back down. Now we have some strong wicks here, some strong wicks here. And remember I said to go look over and see to run to a wick, come on back down, run into a wick, come on back down, and now you come into the body. So right this point right here, I would be looking at would be a very strong possibility that it would be tested this zone, which is right here at the 53.17 area, which is still below where our target is. So I feel pretty good that it certainly has the potential, and I'm not sure it has the momentum right now, but it has the potential to at least hit our target on this. Gold trade. Let's see, we have a gold alert. Those are on a 5-minute chart. And we have a bounce arrow. Here's the end of the arrow. So we'll be looking at sell at 1807.05. So we're going to put our charts up here, load, get the new fresh chart up. I reset this every day just so I can have my vertical, my yellow lines projected for the contra trend trades of this. And then I'm just going to go ahead and find out where the entry is, and that's the one 1807.05. Objects, open trade. And it's going to be 1807.05. That was where the alert came through, right there. That's a little bit off on that, huh? Target is going to be, we have a $10 stop and a $5 target. So we go at 1805. We're looking at going short. So it'd be 1802.05 for a target. 1802, that's way down below there, okay. And then the stop would be 1817.05. And scrunch this thing up. Now the thing we have to look at, one thing we didn't do yet is we didn't look to see what direction this thing is. I'm thinking this gold's been in a downtrend here lately, so let's just double check that. Ooh, no, it's not either. That's definitely a uptrend.
Oh,
so we're
yes,
in the we're in the contra trend zone. So that's that would be an acceptable thing to still take. Arrow up. So here's our uptrend. Gold's been in the downtrend for a while. It looks like it reversed on us here. Oh wait, that's on a 1 minute. Hang on a second. No, that's not. That's on a 5 minute.
Well, it kind of seems to be channeling right now.
It certainly is channeling. Yeah, it certainly is channeling here. So it's up to any of you guys to take the trade. I'm not anxious to trade gold and the indexes right now. But it does have the we'd have the crossover. We're getting the crossover of the moving averages. We have the cross and close below the 200. Had a little bit of a pullback. We had the bouncy arrow. The only thing I don't like about this, we have a nice big wick right here, which is where this. Now I'm not so sure why the price on this is where it is, because this looks to me.
Al, I don't think it's ready to break out of where it's at.
Well, that's it. What I'm kind of wondering is why is this thing over here saying 108, 1807, but we had the close of the candle, which is right down here, which is actually a little bit lower here.
1807. It's not even.
Unless my alert just. I don't know. But here's the bounce arrow. Go. We're in a contra trend area right now between the 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock time frame. So, but this was the close of the candle, so this would be the open. So actually, it did gap up just a slight bit there. This would be one that if you wanted to take this thing short, I'd be looking at maybe taking this, putting a sell stop in at the 18:0. I'd be more apt to take it down here a little bit lower, but. Do we have but we really don't have the 10 pips, so we really don't have our 5 pip target here. I guess that's the eliminating factor right there.
Yeah, pretty much the target that I would see if I would take this to the downside would be like 1798, right?
But we're running into the
green zone.
Yeah, you need to have this thing pull back a little bit further.
There's a trend line at the top there.
One thing I guess you could do.
Bounce.
There's a couple of things you could do possibly, and this is ways of maneuvering your trades a little bit. Again, this is something that you decide for yourself how you want to do these things. If this would be your target, you need 5 pip target to the green zone. Well, as this thing pulls back, so right now you need to have this thing at 1808.83. So you want your target to be up at 1808.83, which is pretty much going to put you right up here into the red zone. So what I'd be looking at looking to have this thing bounce, if it can come up here, bounce and give you another reason to go short. But right now, it's pick your poison, I guess, is all I can say about this one. I'm going to pass on it just because
There's better trades out there, I think.
I think there's just better trades out there. You can see like our other one that we had. You can see how much better this one. I mean, this Euro Aussie's working out very nicely. We're up 7 pips, almost 8 pips now already on this trade. And
yeah,
this one is just a little bit more iffy. I mean, I like the idea of maybe getting a little bit better entry, but even so, it's going to have to get all the way up to this red zone and give you a reason to take it short from up here before you even come close to getting your target. So right now, it doesn't have the range that you need. So I'll pass on it just for that reason alone.
We got a question in the chat around EG and GU. I'm going to do Euro GBP real quick. It's a really, really, really strong downtrend. Like, just recently it pulled back though, but it's a super strong downtrend, guys. And that was for Edgar there. He seems to be stuck in some variable trades.
New Zealand USD. I'm staying away from that one.
EG. Oh, sorry.
Wrong chart.
You're saying EG. I'm looking at NU, New Zealand US. Was New Zealand US one of the that you just talked about?
It's Euro GBP and GBP US. He's asking about.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Q&A.
British USD. Okay. I said this one doesn't look like anything right here.
No, no. All right. So
there's a British US. Here's bounce. There's an arrow. We had a little bit of a basing here before we got the arrow. British US. We're in an uptrend with a down arrow. We'll change our zones here. Templates. Here we go. Template. Load my template. Get my vertical lines in the right spot. We're in the contra trend zone, so that would allow us to take that. But right now, I don't. This was the alert back here.
I still see it going down now.
Let's see, British USD. So right there, that was at 1.4141. Let's call that. Objects. Open trade. 1.4141. There's the entry of the alert. And 20 pips would be 1.4121.
Edgar, I'm sending you a screenshot in the answer, and I just want you to look at it, and I think it'll give you an idea of where this could potentially go before it turns around, just so you're not overly concerned about it. Variable will take stop losses, right? So that's understandable in certain market conditions.
This trade here came in. What time did this trade come in? Let's see. This thing came in at, looks like, that was I can't tell from the too many lines here, too close. 12:30, so that'd be -7, so that'd be 12 minus 7. But at 5:30 this morning is where that one came in. That's why we didn't see that one earlier. This one's already hit the target, the 20 pip target. So that's, and there's still some room to the downside more, but I wouldn't jump into it at this point. If you can't get it within a reasonable period of where the arrow is, especially when Actually came down, hit the target already, came back up, gave you another second shot at it. And you're actually having a little bit of a, here's your M, here's your first A, here's your second A, and now it's coming down to retest this. And we're coming up very close to hitting my target right now. I'm within, see, 1531. Now we're within 10 pips of the target on this right now. We're up 10 pips on this trade. We never took a look at our Forex factory this morning.
Oh, we didn't. Or what do you call it there? The MyFX book? Yeah, I like MyFX book better.
Yeah, well, you could pull up MyFX book. I'll get Forex factory, and I'll probably need to put that one on.
Oh,
Right
we
now
got an announcement.
Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. We have some British news at 9:30, and 10 o'clock we have some U.S. news. So be warned that any U.S. and British pairs right now between now and 9:30 or 10 o'clock, they could start seeing some movement in preparation for the announcement.
Yeah, because you got the monetary policy reports for the British, which is a high impact news. And then you got the new home sales for the U.S. and the federal chair Powell testifies. So you got lots of stuff that could potentially send the market into a nice little swing for today.
Yeah, these crude oil inventory reports, always pay attention to that with the U.S. and Canadian dollar pair.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's an orange folder, they usually make some impact on the markets. So just keep those in mind. U.S., Canadian, and British pairs were going to be vigilant. I won't say don't take the trades. The trades are there; you can take them, but just be vigilant of what you may be looking at.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And the other thing with the Canadian dollar is it's so tied to commodities that it's just ridiculous, right? To oil. It's so tied.
Any other questions that we missed? Or we're waiting for some new alerts.
Shaquille is pumped.
And let's see, what else do we have here? I'm just checking my other sources of information here, see if there's anything that may be worth taking a look at.
Al, did you look at the Aussie CAD that came in at 8 o'clock?
Yeah, we did. In fact, I think we are. Oh, that was
Sorry.
the Aussie CAD. I think we took a look at that.
Aussie cat?
I looked at the gold. I didn't. I bet I can be wrong.
I looked at it.
Oh,
There-
okay.
Yeah,
Thank
there's
you,
no,
Charles.
not much.
Thank you.
Nothing to buy tonight yet.
See something here and see if there's checking out something else here.
Now you have a question on the Euro Aussie. It has more room than 20 pips, but you're only taking the 20. Would you ever let it run?
Would I ever? Yeah, sure, I would. But I'd be more apt to have to be wanting to watch it. Or oftentimes what I'll do is I'll take my 20 pips, and if I could take another, and maybe take half of a position off, or maybe take another position if it gives me another opportunity to get in. But most of the time, I'm pretty happy with the 20 pips. Just because I don't like sitting here thinking about it too much. I like, put my trade on, just sort of let it do its thing. If I'm sitting here and it's bouncing off 19.5 pips, I'll just take it off myself and say thank you. But for the most part, I'm usually happy with just the 20 pips. So that's just me.
Yeah, no, for sure. Even 1% a day retires you over the course of a year, right? Like if you consistently do that.
The thing I hate worse than going for that extra 2 or 3 or 20 or 10 pips,
Getting stopped out.
reverse out and give back all the profit or break even. And I always think that, why not just take it off and be happy with that? Sometimes if I can take a tighter stop, then I can double my lot size and make as much with a 20 pip move as I could with a 40 pip move.
So I just to add to that, just, because of Matt's analysis, the one thing with this specific trade I would think about doing is if we get to maybe 14, 15, 16 17 pips, you can start to bring your stop loss down to lock in profits, and just have, take the take profit off for a while and see if you can run it, past 20 with a locked in profit with your stop loss.
Yeah, take out or even take out 75% of your lots, right?
Right.
Let the rest of it run.
Yeah.
That way you're always in a winning trade.
Right. And then let the rest run, put your stop, adjust it maybe a level behind where you took your profit. So you may lose a little bit of profit, but at least you can let that little bit run and see how it works out. But there's so many ways of running this thing, guys. There's so many profit taking money management systems that you could use. Is to find what really sits better with you. Now, Al, he loves to take the 20 and run. I would say he's 20 and run every day. That's what he's comfortable with.
Certainly more often than not. Certainly more often than not, I'll do that.
I'm starting to get more of this hand into the swing trading though. I'm really loving the 1 hour time frames. I'm really loving it.
Let's see here. Actually, coming back over here and take a little bit of a look at what I drew out here, is just to give you some on this Euro Aussie trade. And we were saying here is like we had the M up here, and here's the first day. You can see where it's breaking out at the bottom, heading on down a little bit. See if it comes back down to this area. It gives us another little M or a little A formation here. You see, if you can look and see where it's still going to 5 minute chart. Let's put this up to 5 minute here.
People still don't know that we're live in the morning, eh? I was sending messages in the group chat, and people are like, "Oh yeah, there's a live call this morning." Like, yeah.
Yeah, and you can see here's the A. You can see where it broke. It broke the bottom of this. Here's the bottom of the A, came back up, formed the peak of the A, came down, it formed a little wedge. There's a little wedge right here. Here's our little wedge right here, up to here, formed a wedge. Hang on just a second.
Oh, look at that.
Actually, when you guys have a moment, Marco would like you to check the pound Aussie.
Yeah, I looked at
yesterday.
it. Yeah, I messed up my analysis on pound Aussie. I thought it was going up. So
this thing's starting to work. You can see where it dropped, it formed a wedge, broke out. Now it's going to find another bottom here. I'm going to be looking at coming over here to the left, see where the origin, see where these blue candles origin over here. I'll be looking at this thing probably coming down, to this area, pull back. But by that time, I'll probably be in my target. On a pullback, it pulls back again. And if I wanted to, I could maybe take another shot at, but usually by that time, I'm looking at something else. I'm ready to be done for the day.
Matt, you were talking before about there are different ways of working out your profits. Pepper has a question that if you take half off of 20 pips and let it run another 20, isn't that the same as taking it all of the original 20?
Well, it has to do with lot size, right? So say you have 0.10 in the trade. Obviously, you're not going to be able to take a portion of your profits if you're only using 0.01, right? So if you're using, for the sake of clarity for this scenario, let's say you're using a 0.04, okay, 0.04, and you want to take 75% of your profits out at the at your target point of 20 pips, then you would close out 0.03 of your 0.04, and then you would send adjust the take profit on that trade later. I hope that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so right now with this Euro Aussie, as we're looking at this, we're in profit. I'm coming very close to my target zone. And we're looking at these, the wicks. I'm looking at the wicks. Like here's the last wick. If I come over, let me just move this stop zone here. Just I can move that, but let me just try and grab this thing here. So if we look over, here's the wick. Come over here. I see no. If all I look is the body. So from here, the body of this candle, I can move it on down to the bottom of that. And then that's the end of the wick there, which is right below where my target is. That's why I'm still pretty comfortable. I'm gonna get my 20 pips. But once I get here, here's the wick. So it's gonna have to get through this wick. Come over here, I hit another wick. It's gonna have to get through that wick. Here's a body, but this body was taken out by this wick. So this body doesn't count anymore. So now you're looking over and here's the next body. This is right where my green line is, right at the bottom of this wick. And it runs into the next body. So if it can break through where my target entry is, then we possibly could be looking at, but we're also going to be having some buying pressure between this orange line and the green line. We'll have some buying pressure because this is where the buyers came in to drive the price back up this way. So if it comes down here and it's fighting and fighting and fighting, I'm just going to say, I'm just going to take my profit off and then say, I'm much more willing to give up a few pips here than to have it come all the way back here to my entry and say, okay, well, I just don't want to lose any money and I get out of a winning trade. That's why I don't usually like, because these things will move in, they move in 7 pip increments, 7, 14, and 21 pip increments. If you watch and see where if it goes to like 20, 21 pips, it'll usually bounce back 7 or 14, and then it'll come back another 7 or 14 pips to the 21. But these moves are usually within 21 pip increments more often than not. And that's why when I get a 20 pip target, I can just about bet it's going to bounce back and maybe give me another entry. And I just don't want to pay the emotional inventory of that extra little move down there. So if I see it coming down like that, I just take the profit. Now I'm going to let it go now because, but you can see it's pulling back. It came right down to my 20 pip target. Now we did get a little bit better entry, but the 20 pips I believe was reference to the, let's see, that's a 40. It was pretty much reference to the where the blue line was off the alert. 53.45, so it'll be 53.25. 53.25 actually this was based on reference off of where our entry was because we got a little bit better entry on this trade. But I'll let it go right now. I'm not going to move my stop to break even, but if it comes back up and starts showing me, I mean, because it could very well come back up, retest the trend line, and then really fall off hard. So I'm just going to, right now, I'm just going to just let it go.
We got a counter trend trade on pound Swiss, but it seems like it's already out of the gate, guys.
Pound Swiss?
Yeah.
Why am I not getting this? Is pound Swiss. 15 minute? I didn't get that one.
I don't know, Dwayne. Did you say it's 15 minute? Because that's late. Because that means we it would have been a great entry, but now I'm feeling like it's kind of out of the bag.
No, see, we are in it. Looks like it's in an uptrend.
Yeah,
we are in the contra trend zone, so that's acceptable.
We're 50 pips into that breakout from that wedge.
Template load. I saw a message. Looks like they resolved some of their VPS issues. So,
yeah, I saw that yesterday.
Hopefully, it'll continue being resolved. And so here's the arrow. There's a bounce, arrow, go. It is contra trend. Looks like. So we're gonna put some up arrows over here.
Yeah.
And so with the contra trend, you may want to even lower your sights a little bit from the 20 pips, but it should still have the room to reach that. So here's the entry. Here would have been the entry right over about in this part, right there. Here's the target. That's 74 pips. That's pretty good. That's a long way away there.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of room to down.
It is a long way.
Remember, we had British news coming out too, so Keep that in mind.
In like what, about 30 minutes or so, Al?
Yeah, I think it was at 9:30.
9:30 or something?
Yeah, I think it was 9:30.
Okay, maybe it was an hour. Yeah, be aware about that. Things can.
To take this one now, it would be chasing it. If you got a strong pullback, I would have to get a pullback back into this zone right up in here before I would be willing to take it. So let's just see where the entry of this actually was. So we're going to do our object list. We're going to go to the open of the trade. And it was right around the 128.17-ish. 1.2817. Try that. We'll adjust it a little bit. And put it right to the bottom of that. Right. Remember, it's the arrow is generated at the close of the candle, so it's at the open of the next candle, which is right there. And that's at 128.20, and our target's going to be 20 pips below. So it'll be 128 even. So with the target, 1.28. It's already at the 20 pip target. It could be going lower, but that's where from the arrow, that was the trade right there. You could have already taken your profit had we been. Why didn't we catch that one?
Actually,
And
Deborah has a good question. She's asking, why aren't the Hawkeye calls announced in the arrow announcement channel?
I'll speak with Nate. I'll find out what's going on. Maybe it was an oversight.
yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Let's see, right? What time was that? Let me move this one out of the way. We already know we're in this zone. Let me get this one out of the way. That's 15. I'm going to move this over to the next day. What's happening is I can't see the time on this other chart here. This is 13. So this was at 6:30 this morning. That's why we didn't catch that one. That was before our session.
Al Martin has another possible counter trend on the 1 hour on the Aussie CAD.
Yeah, I looked at it. I don't like the Aussie CAD right now from a price perspective because there's like 10 pip wicks. So the wicks out of the candles are way too big. And it turns me off pretty quick. I like having nice candle formations, not wicks out of both ends and wicks that are bigger than the previous candlestick bodies. I'm not even going to play that game.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, it's Euro US. Okay, there we go. Let's try this one. Euro US. I saw there was a Eris alert on the Euro US. I was just wanting to try and get to that one. That was at 6:30 this morning, though.
Yeah, it's already broken out of the wedge.
This one's is already broken out of the wedge. Yeah, there was 6:30. Let's see. Bring this over. Got my template loaded up. And I'm going to make this one blue. I'm going to save this template here.
Over the course of the last couple of weeks, we've been having quite a nice crowd in here, haven't we, Al?
Yes, we have. It's been a real pleasure having everybody in here. I've been really enjoying that. You're participating. You're asking questions, bringing us different things to be looking at, and that's just makes me happy to see that.
For sure. And we're always open to any feedback you have. You're not going to hurt our feelings. So if sometimes things get a little bit more advanced than you're comfortable with, just let us know. And we'll take that feedback into consideration. Because sometimes you can go on autopilot and we can make kind of make things a little more complicated than they need to be.
Sometimes it's real easy for us to get a little bit too far in depth for the. We have two things we look at. We have a lot of new people that become very overwhelmed very quickly, And my answer to that is just give yourself a break and stay with it, because eventually you'll start making sense to you, and you'll start picking up, you'll pick up little bits and pieces each time you come in. You'll pick up something else, and we pretty much do the same thing over and over and over again. Eventually you start retaining that certain aspect of it. You're not going to get it all at once. Then for the people who have been around for a while, it gets to help reinforce some of their techniques as they develop their own techniques. And I mean, Matt's technique is different than mine. Eva's is different than mine, and mine is going to be different than yours. But you're going to pick a technique. You're going to work something that works for you and your personality. And that's the main thing about with manual trading, is know what works for you. Know what you can accept. I mean, some people can take a swing trade and be in it for months at a time, like my partner Brian, and me. I'm like to be in and out before the end of the day. So it all depends on what your risk appetite is.
Yeah, like, hey, if you took Aussie CAD, great. You know, just because I don't take it doesn't mean it's not a valid trade. It just doesn't fit my criteria. I don't like having all these big wicks everywhere, but there could be money left on the table when I do that, and it's completely fine.
Now let me show. Now I will show something here. For people were asking about taking the 20 pips or not. I didn't close this thing out. But now let me just ask the question: is how much emotional inventory are you willing to pay for a trade that you're up $30-some and now you're just breaking even? This is the Euro Aussie. This is one we took earlier. And this is why, I mean, I didn't take this one off. I should have with my other account, but I didn't. But here it is. Here's where our entry was. Here's where my target was. And now it's right back, it's coming back to retesting the break-even point. So what makes you feel better, knowing that you just locked in $30 worth of profits or 18 pips worth of profit, or having to give it back? Now, it might give us another entry to take it short, and there may be a good reason to be thinking that it's going to stay short as we look into our heat map to see whether the Euro Aussie, and I think right now it's probably still going to be okay. But how do you feel right now, knowing that you could close out your profit for the day and now you're right back to break even again? And now you're wondering, well, should I just get out now? Because here's where they do is they get you near profit. They don't let you close out. They come back and say, I don't want to lose money, so you get out of the trade here only for it to go down even lower. My theory is I just like taking my profits early, and if I gives me another opportunity, if I still like the trade, I could take another position up here and take it that way. And then move. But again, I'm not moving my stop. Right now, everything's still in order. It's still below the 200 moving average. It's still below the arrow moving average. As long as there's one theory is that as long as it's below the arrow moving average and they're still red, it's still a short until you get that turnaround. And that's how you get those bigger moves, is by using that philosophy. Just like here, it crossed over and it stayed red, it pulled back. Here's a nice first move down, pulled back, still stayed below the blue, still stayed red. Now the question is, where do you want to take your profit? Here was the zone. Of course, this zone wasn't here at the time when this thing, there may have been some other zones over in this area that were taken out. But right now, the question is, are you going to close out your trade because you didn't make your profit and you don't want to take a loss, or you're just going to let this thing run and let it breathe? And that's where you have to decide for yourself what it is you want to do. But to answer the question, that's why I like taking going for the 20 pips, because I expect there's going to be a little bit of a bounce off of this area. It didn't even get to my target. I was looking at maybe this area down a little bit lower. But obviously you can see where these wicks respected the tops of where this red candle took off. This was actually a green candle, even though it's showing red. It's only red because it's below the moving average. But this was a bullish green candle that took out these wicks and closed above it. So that it's reasonable to expect that the target's going to be somewhere below in here. And you can see right here, we hit the wicks, came back down, and it still respected the bottom of where this red candle right here. This was our little trap right here. This is where people were starting to take profits. So there again, you have to decide what your risk appetite is. And actually, here we have, this is a little bit of reject. It rejected this point right here. Nice little 45-degree angle, rejected it. And looking over here, see where the price action helps to confirm that here's where it took off. Here's the origin of the move right over here.
Might be interesting to see if a support zone pops up there in the next little
Yeah,
while.
and if it does, then theoretically we should be out of the trade. But wouldn't it feel better to, in my mind, it's just like, here it is, it's pushing 8:30, and I already had my first winning trade of the day, and all I had to do was click the button to close it out, and I could be done for the day. Part of the reason why we trade is we have more free time. But you don't have more free time if you're sitting there watching the trade because you didn't take the profits.
Actually, that's a good way of looking at it, Al. I don't know how many hours I've spent babysitting trades because I didn't take it when I should have.
Yeah. That way you can say you take your profit, you feel good about the day, you feel good about yourself, and you can go and you say, and then just leave the charts and just let them go. Let them do what they do. Because there's always another trade coming down the road.
Absolutely.
There'll always be another trade.
Absolutely. So I just got info from Coach Mo that she's not able to make the calls. So if you guys have some time later, it'd be awesome to.
My time is gonna be limited. I gotta make another run this morning, but I'll do what I can. I'm not sure what time I'm gonna have to leave, but I may be able to be in for part of it, but if I'm not, it's not because I don't want to be.
No, I figured as much. No, that's cool. Let's any assistance would be greatly appreciated for that side.
Yeah. So anyway, let's see, Euro US. Let's go back to that Euro US trade that we were looking at. We had an alert for the Euro US. I just want to point that out for, like I said, I'm still in the trade. I wish I had taken profits sometimes when I'm on these calls like this, I get distracted. I don't really pay as close of attention to some of the trades as I need to or should.
Actually, there's a question in the chat about why we don't trade Bitcoin and gold. I mean, we do trade gold when the gold alerts come up. If it's a viable trade, we do it. But Bitcoin, I know in Al's case, because his broker doesn't allow him to trade Bitcoin that we're using for Arrow, and I'm not sure, Matt, if yours does.
Mine does, yeah. Mine does.
Yeah.
But I don't do a lot of crypto. Like I like to buy and hold. I find Bitcoin moves pretty special.
Pretty
but I've done very well. Don't get me wrong, but I'd rather just stick to the playing field that I feel more comfortable in.
Yeah.
And at this time, it's really more all about the consistently profitable Forex world than swinging the bat and having a deeper understanding of the Bitcoin. And because there's not a lot of alerts on the cryptos, guys. There's not a lot of trade ideas. They don't come up as frequently as the what do you call it?
Forex currencies?
Forex pairs, yeah. They don't come up as often.
Yeah, I just don't have enough of a feel for the movement of the Bitcoin to be able to feel like I'm comfortable trading it.
Like I've met the challenge, the challenge for what is it, 10,000 pips in cryptocurrency. I think somewhere near 40,000 pips. I never really did the math, so maybe I'll put it on my FX book later. But yeah.
I do know that Nate trades it at night. He's got a better feel for it than I do. So I guess if you want to trade the Bitcoin, follow him at, if you're living on the East Coast, you can catch him at 2 o'clock in the morning, East Coast, 2 to 5 o'clock, you can catch him.
Now, does he have different rules for crypto, Nate?
I don't know. I haven't.
No, not really.
I've only listened to him once. I know they've taken trades, but I'm not sure what the parameters are. And that's the
I'm
only
okay
reason I
with
don't do it, because I don't know what the parameters are for Bitcoin. I know what the
No.
parameters are for like the indexes, like for the NASDAQ and the S&P, which is $5 and $10. I think the crypto is going to be a little bit more than that, just because it's moving in such, I mean, we're looking at, rather than $1,800, like gold is $1,800, rather than $1,800, we're looking at 60,000 or 55,000 on the Bitcoin. So
Okay.
so it's going to be moving a lot. I mean, $1,000 move on the Bitcoin is nothing unusual in a couple hours.
Mariska's saying Bitcoin bag entries on 5 Minute by Nate. And Shaquille says he only uses bounce, arrow, and go for crypto.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the
So
5
I'm
minutes.
assuming it's got to be you guys out there. Is it $5 and $10 the same way that indices in gold and silver might be?
No, it's different. It's like how to explain it, because they're all different, right? Like your Ethereum's a different take profit
Okay.
calculation than Bitcoin, and it's different than some others.
Oh, here's something I want to show everybody. Euro Aussie. Remember we said it was this the target, pulled back, and then a lot of times what happens, people say, well, I missed my chance. And so here's what, and this happens a lot. This is oftentimes why I take my profits when I do, is that you saw it pulled back, it came back almost to where we got back in again, and now it's right back down to, all right, now we're up 7 pips, almost 8 pips. We were up about 12 or 15. Now the question is it going to bounce again off of this created a trend line from here? Here's the first bounce. It bounced right off of that. Now the question is it going to break? If it breaks this, comes back down, retest the trend line, that's probably going to come down lower. If it doesn't, if it comes down, bounces again, then we're going to be having to look at, we maybe start and look at where it's going to come back and retest an upper trend line, which is going to be over here. Because right now we have another trend right in this area, which is right about where we got into this trade.
A lot of big lower wicks there, Al.
A lot of big lower wicks. So what's happening is the buyers are coming back in. So, I mean, there again, it's like, do you want to wait for it to come back down? Do you want to wait for it to break out the top and then get out with a little bit of a loss? Right now, it's just like you hold your ground. Me, I'm just going to hold my ground on this one right now. Worst case scenario is I'll get out with a small loss. Best case scenario is I'll hit my target.
Now, Yoda mentioned on this pair that we're hitting an old day zone from 2017.
Say that one again, Christine.
The Yoda said in the Q&A, in Euro AUD, we are hitting an old day zone from 2017.
Well, we're not even there yet, because this was yesterday's the overnight low was right here.
Yeah,
now, before that, we'd have to take a look and see what the zone is from. Let me go and see if I can find this here. See what, see if I can understand what she's referring to. 2000. Yeah, we're not the way I'm looking at this thing, we're not anywhere close to that yet. Because this was yesterday's move. This is all the way down here. We're still way up in here. We're pretty much right in the middle of this strong move up, pullback. What I'm looking at with right now with this is we have a strong move up, a pullback retracement. Now this thing is hitting a low. Now let's get back to a higher time frame here. Back to 4 hours. Let's go to the daily. We'll go to the daily chart and see what we got here on the daily chart. This was the zone I was saying that this was basically a week. This is the zone between these yellow lines, goes all the way back to, I think, December of 2018. So it's coming right into that. It's in that area right now. That's why I got these yellow zones. Actually, there's another one down below here. So if it can break through where it is right now, this is my target. That green line is my target. If it can break through this zone, this is the next area. So it could go a lot lower, but right now we're still kind of in the middle of all this. If you look at an hourly chart, here's the overnight, here's the daybreak. So this is the overnight low. This is the lowest body of the candle on the overnight low, right there. the body of the candle to the upside is going to be, let's see, let me just do this here. Clone this. Here's the body of the overnight high. So this is really the range. Everything else are pretty much wicks. Let me get this up, move this off. Pay attention to the overnight highs and lows. They're significant. Once they get broken, then they usually makes, here's the overnight high, the body, there's the wicks. I'm gonna call this a trap. And I'm gonna do the same thing now at the bottom. Here's the overnight, here's the wicks of the overnight low, right where my target is. Call that a trap. So right now it's trading, it's making, now this was yesterday's high. Here's yesterday's zone. So this would be the supply. And this would be the, and the demand would be somewhere down below. You see right now, we're just sort of, we're playing around inside this region right here. Go to a 15-minute chart, same thing. Let me move this out of the way. And right now, you see right now, we had a winning trade. And right now we're negative. How would you feel? Now we do have a trend. Now the question is, where is this going to come up? Is it going to come up and fall back down? Right now, we don't, it's breaking the trend line that's breaking right now. If I can get this thing up here. Was so non-responsive. It takes forever. Wrong one. It won't move. But you have the trend line. Here's the trend line. It's coming up and retesting this area. All right, I'm going to go to my trading view charts for this illustration. Let's see, this is the Euro Aussie. I'm just going to clear all this out. Coming right up here, testing the 30-minute 62 moving average. But here's our high. Here's the lower high. Here's the lower high. Now I'm still in this trade. I'm not going to get out of it, not just because of this. But here's a low. And here's our channel right now. It's kind of forming a downward channel. Came up, retested that 30. This was the shakeout. This is where the big money tries to get everybody scared out. You were profitable, come back to loss. Now I'm gonna get out of this trade because I don't want to lose any money after winning. And now look where it's coming back down again. So see where we at now. Now we're back to break even right now. So now the question is, what's it going to do? We have a trend line. Here's a high. Here's a lower high. Here's a low. Here's a lower low. Is forming a downward channel. Here's the target. Here's where I'll be looking at on a 15-minute chart. This is the day break. Here's where we had traps or supply zones or demand zones down here. This would be where the first target would be. Here's our M. Here's the first leg of the M. Here's the middle of the M. Here's the second leg. Here's our descending line. Still respected it. We're below all the moving averages are still in the proper direction. We have a 30 minutes, a 15 minute, our 13 period, and then they're all, the higher the time frames are up above, the lower time frames are down below. We don't have the cross. I still think this thing has potential of coming all the way back down. This was just a strong pullback. Try and shake everybody out before it goes down lower. And this was probably right around 9 or about 8 minutes before. So let's see where we're at with the our strength meter here.
All right, I'm gonna go get the other room ready.
Okay,
We'll
all
talk
right,
to you guys
Matt.
in a little bit.
Okay, Matt.
All right, see you on the flip side.
Thanks for your help this morning.
Later, Matt.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Julie.
So if you're in this trade, still hold the line. Right now, we took some heat on this one. We had a little bit of frustration that we didn't get our target met on the first push down. And we'll just have to wait and see how this thing goes. That's trading. Here's where price was rejected. It was rejected right at this zone right here. Rejected right at these moving averages, or these wicks. But I would say right now, if it comes back down, I'm going to move my target up a little bit. So if it comes back down and retests this trend line, that's where I'm going to take my profit. Any questions about that? That's a good illustration to how I answer that question of should I take my 20 pips or should I let it keep running? If you're a swing trader, you just let it keep running until you get the swing trade. This thing could do this several times between now and the next couple of days. So if you're a swing trader, you just set your trade and just just let it breathe. I mean, it keeps right now. It's still making highs. Here's a low. Here's a high. Lower low, lower high. So right now it is trending, but it's doing it in a. We're doing it in a probably about a 20 or 30 pip range. So from up here, that's 30 pip. It's doing it within about a 30 pip range right now. It's trending within about 30 pips, plus or minus 15 on either side of center. And so right now this formed a new pivot. And we had this trend line here, and actually it kind of broke this trend line right here. We had just try and line that's up as best you can. Here's a hit, here's a hit, here's a near hit. Maybe slide this thing up a little bit. Try and align these pivot lows. Came back down, rejected, came back down, rejected, came back down, broke to the bottom, and now it's retested this. So right now, you can see where this trend line right here was respected, and here's where it was broken. And now the trend line is still respected. It hasn't been broken to the upside yet.
Excuse me, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
This is from Pepper, actually. He's wondering, what is it you're looking for when you close out a trade at 18 pips before it actually hits the 20? What would make you do that as opposed to letting it carry through and do its thing?
When I start seeing the price come down, I just watch the actual price of the candle. When I get on, especially if you get onto like a 1 minute chart, I can show better on this case. You can actually you just watch how it kind of keeps pounding away at a certain price. I may go to my 1 minute chart or even my 5 minute chart, and I'll pull that up. And then I'll probably have to answer this and probably have to be getting going here. Let me just take all this stuff off of here. Take this one off. Where is that? Where did all those come from here? There we go, get rid of that. If you're on a 1 minute chart and you have a target, let's just say your target's right up here, and you see it come up, it pounds it, and it can't quite, it hits that a couple, 2 or 3 times and keeps getting rejected, I'll just take my profit. You can just watch it. You can just watch it keep hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting. And then if it breaks through, you know that, okay, this is going to be going up to the next spot. But like down here, if you can see in this 1 minute, I mean, it was, here's where my target was, I believe, somewhere right down in this area. It was very close to this. And you see, like, here's where your target is, and it comes down, gets rejected, comes down, gets rejected, and then it starts turning blue. That's usually the time I'll be getting out, waiting for it to come back and retrace. But just watch the price action. You just watch how the candle just keeps pounding and pounding and pounding. Like right now, it's got a little bit of an upward pressure to it. It's making each tick is making it higher highs. Now, when it gets up to this level up here, it was already this price was already rejected once. Formed a red candle. And when it starts getting really, when you start seeing a lot of ticks real rapid, you'll see that that's where the buyers and sellers are having their little battle going on. You see how this blue candle came up, the red candle came up, got turned red. Blue one came up, couldn't break through. So right now it's having a hard time breaking through this little zone right here.
Did that answer your question for you, Pepper?
There's the sellers are coming in. Up here, the sellers are starting to come in to push it back down again. Now, they may win the battle, they may not. Here's where the battle will probably be decided up in this area. But it may not ever get up there. Okay. And that's about all I can say about that. That pretty much wraps it up for the day. Keep an eye on this trade. It's not over yet. It's still, it hasn't come anywhere close to hitting our stop. And it just looks like this right now is just a pullback. If it starts breaking through the 153.69 area, you may want to be reconsidering the short on it. Other than that, at this point, I'd say just let it breathe. And that's about all we can see. It's coming up, it's retesting that trend line. Now, right? See, right now, this trend line, it came up, it broke this blue trend line, broke it, came back up, retested it. And so I still have, I'm still optimistic that it's going to come down and hit my target. But these are money market. These are where the market makers come in and start playing around with you. They're searching for stops. Once profitable, come back. They're searching for the stops, because if you had your stop right there, break even, guess what? You just got stopped out of break even, and now they're going to go and drive the market and possibly drive it back down again. So, with that, thanks everybody for coming in. We love having everybody. Appreciate all the questions, and we will be back again tomorrow. See you then.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Al. Actually, a quick
Thank
question
you.
before you go, Al. Pepper wants to know how to get into the other room. I see Christine, I see you just wrote it down. I don't know if Pepper belongs to the Arrow Telegram channel or not.
Yeah, the best thing to do is get into the go into the back office at the Auvoria Prime University. Well, the university, and with each of these products in the setups, they'll give you a link to the Telegram channel, and you'll have and that's where they have the announcements. That's where they have the links where you can register for these sessions. You have to get in the back. The best thing to do is get in the back office and with these different products, and you'll see there's one for gearbox, there's one for variable, there's one for that's Iris. Here's the Arrow announcements right here. These are the and this is where you would go to register for the Arrow Zoom rooms. And if you want to listen to gearbox, you can register for the gearbox Zoom rooms. It's all in your back office and under the setup product setups information. They have these. Links to the channels. And that's where you get a lot of the information. And that's where you can really stay on top of what's going on. Hopefully that answers your question. And Pepper, if you can't find it, email me at trademasters@gmail.com and I'll help you out. Okay. On that note, See everybody tomorrow.
See y'all tomorrow.